The Great Fortune, exposing the community secrets, identity theft, mockery of religion, and the end of that parasitic cycle. Full summary. I will give you a full summary, okay, of everything that's happening. Part 1, the courthouse lie and the money trail. The session begins with a heavy reveal about a male figure who has been receiving money based on a false claim of being married to you. The scam. The individual reported a marriage status at a courthouse to receive funds that were rightfully yours. Even though the relationship is non existent or long over, they continued to collect this money. The reputable work. They recently received a message that your work is legitimate and reputable, which has occurred them panic because their own status is built on fraud. The legal fallout. An entire community is now facing jail time because of this false reporting. Their despair stems from the fact that you are a privileged lady and they have been spending your money. Part 2, toxic patterns and moon magic. The community's behavior isn't a one-time mistake. It's a familiar recurring pattern. Emotional projection. They use toxic emotional projections and the moon magic to push their negative energy to the others while drawing that person's wealth towards themselves. Zero guilt. There was absolutely no guilt felt while this was happening. They were riding the vibe, following the crowd without thinking. Mental overload. Now that the lies are exposed, they are in a state of mental overload and disassociation. They simply cannot compute that the game is over. Part 3, hiding behind the block of religion. One of the most significant exposes in this reading is how the group used spiritual status to mask illegal acts. The guise of Christianity. They hide behind religious labels claiming I'm a Christian as an excuse for breaking the law and abusing others. Or vice versa, in the case of religious matters and like other places, they use the excuse of I'm a Muslim sheikh, leader, spiritual leader. How can people trust these people? People put trust in these leaders, and these leaders they just manipulate. Not all of them, but most of them. So here we say rote memorization of these relationships. The trading notes that listening to a preacher or memorizing a book isn't a relationship with God. It's a distraction guided by the hand of the devil to keep people asleep. The elevator shifts. There is a vertical transport happening where they are being sent to the bottom rungs of society while you are being elevated to your destined position. Part 4, the end of the heartbreak feast. The reading shifts into the spiritual mechanics of how these parasites feed. No more food, humans can no longer be food for the devil. The cycle of harvesting energy from people emotional is ending. The heartbreak delicacy. A parasite feed on the specific cocktail of emotions found in the heartbreak. Anger, sadness, and grief. Because you are healing your internal body and moving out of grief, their primary food source is gone. The lab subject. They have treated you like a test subject or a picky bag since childhood, fabricating scenarios to make you feel all the feels just so they could harvest the energy. Part 5, evidence on the phone and identity theft. The King of Wands, the leader of this organization, Head Warlock, is currently under intense pressure. Phone records. There's evidence on a phone, likely messages or bribe records that incriminates them. Light is being shed on these records. Queen of Swords bound. They thought you were a pushover because of your loving star energy. They didn't see the Queen of Swords behind the scenes, who eventually set hard boundaries and exposed the truth. Poverty views wealth. You are coming out of a poverty cycle, and they are angry because they can no longer hide your inheritance or steal your identity. Part 6, witness protection and public exposure to fail cut becomes physical and legal, moving beyond just spiritual energy. Safe space. You ended things to create a safe space away from this past life echo. You may be entering a form of witness protection due to the truth you know. The news, private matters are being exposed publicity and is necessary to check their ego, as they would never stop without publishing. The hive mind. The group functions as a hive mind of friends and even family members who are drinking out of your cup rather than filling their own. Part 7. The umbrella of protection. The closing of the underneath my umbrella, sorry, I had to just pop in my head. The closing of that reading focuses on your final victory. The bucket. The fuck it bucket. You have tossed these trashy relationships into the fuck it bucket. This act of throwing away toxic people is actually your umbrella of protection. The tower, these people are experiencing a full-blown tower moment. Even the crooked cops who were part of the part of their network are being investigated. Final wisdom. You are moving to your highest timeline. The reading encourages you to practice forgiveness and compassion, not for them, but for your own fresh start. And to trust your intuition as you move forward. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful rest of your journey. Goodbye. Assalamu alaikum. The